You know, your garage door can absolutely add value, but not all garage doors are created the same. When it comes to the options, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. How do we make it simple and easy for the client to make a decision? Welcome to the Garage Authority Podcast, powered by A1. My name's Tommy. I'm the founder of A1. So today I got John Phillips with me, a good friend of mine who's worked at the company now for a long time. And he's been in the field for a long time. He's installed doors. He's done maintenance on doors. He's done all the repairs. John, exactly how long have you been at this company?
I've been at this company for 5 years now. Been in the industry for 10.
Been in the industry for 10 years. So you'd say you're an expert.
I would.
You've seen everything from...
I've seen everything from doors on fire to electrified to upside down to the most beautiful thing that you've ever seen installed.
I love it. So we're going to dive into really about picking garage doors today. And I will say you got a baby boy on the way.
Yes, I do. And I think after all the work that I've done on garage doors and how dangerous they could be, this is probably the most scared I've been in my life.
Most scared. I'm excited for you, man. We're going to be at your shower. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Don't pick the wrong garage door. You'll regret it. Homeowners, here's what you need to know. So, John, I'm going to dive into some questions here. First and foremost, talk to me a little bit about garage doors and what should we be picking when we're a homeowner.
When you're a homeowner, you gotta go through and you gotta think forward. Like, what is your 5-year, 10-year plan for you and your family in that home? How long are you going to be there? And realistic with those numbers. And not to mention, you also need to consider where you live, like the climate, the neighborhood, how many drivers are in the home, all these things in consideration. So I think it's best to go over what affects what. And simplistically, first, I want to talk about like the difference between insulated, non-insulated, and different styles of door, whether that's wood, glass, aluminum, all these different things. There's pros and cons to each one. Like the ones that we sell the most, obviously, are like steel doors and steel back doors, right? It's got good structural rigidity. If you have the right type of insulation in it, it lasts a long time. It has a lot of designs in it. You know what I mean? We can go short panel, long panel. You can get in depth with it. And not to mention companies now, they have like, back in the day when they tried to do like the faux wood or anything, now they do it in like a layered system to where it's like cross this way, that way. So it has a lot of depth to it. Now, the only downsides that I could possibly see to it is one, once you dent it, it's dented, right? And then if we're not really taking care of that laminate from scratches, and then all of a sudden, if we don't have that laminate or film protecting over it, now it can rust out a little bit. But as far as service, that any door company that is in your area, anyone can service that door. So I think that's a really big plus.
You know, when we talk about insulation, there's several types of insulation. We've got vinyl back, we've got polystyrene, and polyurethane. Can you talk to me a little bit about the differences and why I might go with one or the other?
Right. So first with the polystyrene, essentially it's just like, have you ever like opened up a box and it has like the styrofoam inserts for like Christmas ornaments and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's just styrofoam. That's essentially what they put in the door. Now, this helps with the R value and is better than just no insulation whatsoever, right? And then they have a plastic vinyl backing in it. Can make a little bit of noise as it goes up and down, and it's not really adding to the structural rigidity. So if this is like a home that you're flipping, or if you just need a little bit of insulation, you're not going to be there for a long time, okay, let's use that. Now, polyurethane, so that's whenever like during the door manufacturing process, two things that it does. One, way better R value, so better insulation. Two, the structural rigidity of the door, because actually the way they have the two sheets of metal, whatever gauge they are, and they press them between these two big plates, and that foam, it spreads, but because of those two big plates, it expands and it holds in place. So imagine if you just put like styrofoam in something compared to something that's expanding every nook and corner, and then what that does to the structural rigidity. So if you're looking for like a long-term solution and something that can take the dings and the little bumps in the road, like polyurethane is the way to go.
I agree. I remember being out at customers' houses. I was in the field for 8 years, and we put the polystyrene in with the vinyl back, and that thing squeaks like crazy. It's like, and I had a lot of clients wonder, where's that noise coming from? And as it's going through the radius of the track, it makes a lot of noise, and it's kind of annoying.
Yes, it's really annoying. And actually, I had a client one time, she bought a brand new door because she ran into her old one. Different company was used. What happened is she ran to her old door, and it was one of those old paper mache, like Wayne Dalton's, has a little bit of weight to it. Yeah. And, they just replaced with the most basic insulation because they weren't, like, asking was noise a concern. Well, she called out not even 2 weeks later, and then I go there, and she's asking, like, how can I make this door quiet? Well, because it was a different company, I was like, well, I'm going to check everything. I'm going to get a laser level on every bearing and track and make sure. If I find the man or woman that installed this door, we're going to hire them on the spot because this was the best installed door that I've ever heard. It's a sheet metal with some styrofoam rubbing going through the track. So ultimately, we decided that the better option was a steel back with polyurethane because she just wanted that same quietness.
You know what? Let's talk a little bit about, you talked about our value. There's U factor. And in garage doors, the theory is it'll be closed most of the time. I've read a lot of articles. There's actually credits out there that it saves 15% on your energy bill. Now, that's if you have an insulated garage. What can you tell me about energy efficiency? What should I be looking out for? What should I be looking for in the install?
Right. At the most basic point of it, as far as energy efficiency, like if I'm a homeowner and I don't know anything about garage doors, you got to go out to your garage and you got to turn out the lights immediately. Get it pitch black, do it during the day. And I'm trying to see any seams around the door because it's not only just the insulation portion of the door, it's the seal around it, whether that's the bottom rubber or the trim. And what a lot of people don't consider is like metal's one of the better conductors that we all know, right? Besides water. And whether it's hot or cold, it's just pushing that energy into your house. And basically what it's going to turn your garage, it's going to turn it into an ice box that your interior walls to your kitchen have to fight, or it's going to turn it into a radiator that, once again, your interior walls are going to have to fight. So no wonder, especially if you have an extreme climate, if you don't have an insulated door, you're just putting a giant fireplace or you're putting a giant ice cube that your heater or AC is having to fight the whole time.
You know, I really wanted to talk about something special about A1 that we did about a decade ago. We trademarked the garage is
the smile of your home.
The smile of your home. And what that really means to me is it increases your curb appeal. I mean, we install garage doors at A1. And what I can tell you is neighbors stop by those houses and say, did you redo your landscaping? Did you paint the house? The house looks so much better. What are some of the things you've heard when you've replaced garage doors for our clients?
People usually ask, they didn't know that A1 painted houses. I've got that a couple times, like after an installation of a door. And it's like, nope, that's not what we did today. But also like I think the biggest, most dramatic thing that I see that happens is like people are shocked and they're like, hey, like whenever I go back to do maintenance and they're like, I've been driving past my home. So they live in kind of a cookie cutter neighborhood, and then they accidentally go past to their neighbor's house because it's so unfamiliar with the new garage door on it. So it's not just like buyers or real estate investors or like the people the actual owner that goes there every day. If it's enough to confuse them, like it's pretty dramatic. 40-50% of your curb appeal. It's huge.
Yeah, and it's Smile of Your Home, 40-50% of your curb appeal, and Remodel Magazine, 7 years in a row. There's article after article after article. 196% return on investment. More than your kitchens, bathrooms, more than adding a pool. And so I think about going to the casino. I put in $100 and I take out 196. I'll do that all day long. And I think a lot of clients don't know that stat and they don't understand it's not only Remodel Magazine, but it's been all over the Wall Street Journal. It's real estate investors that are flipping houses, the first thing they talk about and do. Why do you think clients are why isn't this a known thing?
I don't think it's a no thing because, I mean, it's on the back burner. The idea of the garage doors like goes up and down, works, and it's not anything that seems obvious to people. So whenever you're talking to a client or anybody that's like looking into a garage door, they might really worry about like the upfront costs, and maybe they haven't thought of like a return on investment that's outside of a kitchen or things that have been beaten into the normal consumer. Like if we do the bathrooms, if we do the floors with wood, like that's been tested and proven for a long time. And I feel like garage doors have changed so much over the years to where now it's finally in competition with those things, right? Past 7 years, like you said. So I think it's just a conditioning thing. I mean, redoing your floors with wood has been home increase for years. You know what I mean? For longer than garage doors have been efficient. So that just makes sense to me that people haven't caught up yet. But whenever I sit down with a client, it really just makes sense for people. And like I said, those upfront costs, hey, like if you're scared about spending X amount on the door, like you're going to get that back. If you're selling the house tomorrow, whatever you put in today, you will immediately get that back, or you're going to get it 10 years from now if you get a really good door that's actually going to last that long.
You know, we talked about affordability, and what are some of the things that we do here day one that make things that'll work on your budget?
Well, number one is options. And number two, like I don't want people, whenever people live their lives, right, they're doing the kitchen, they're sending their kids to school, it's student debt, it's taxes, it's this. So you don't have to pay up front with us. Like we want you to get the best store, get all the perks of it, get the return on investment. Just make it into small little payments. That's fine. If you want to do it all up front because you want the rewards on your card and travel mile, like go for it. But if you have a lot of stuff on your plate but you still need a good working door and you want your house to be the best as possible and save on energy, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to get you with our promotionals, and then we'll just put this in little small payments, and you pay that off whenever you want to, however you want to.
Financing, you don't pay nothing for the first year. We've got all kinds of options for that. Use our money instead of using yours. I don't think people understand the beautiful wood overlay doors, which, by the way, I think look amazing. I'm building a house in Idaho, and every door out there is wood. But I don't think people know how much do they weigh, how many springs do they have, and what do you need to do with real wood to make sure it lasts?
Right. So when it comes to a wood door, I get the natural aesthetic, and especially being a garage door guy, like whenever I come across like a nice custom-made wood door, has the ironclad and bolts and carriage bolts built into it, looks like it belongs on a castle in England, just absolutely stunning. But with that, I mean, more door, more problems every single time. These doors get 500, 800, 1,200 pounds. So then as far as like the wear and tear on the hardware that makes it move on the inside, the tracks, the rollers, the hinges that make it pivot, and the type of springs, a lighter door, we have a lot of room to where we can make parts last a long time. And then not even to mention that, it's wood. So on the outside, like you got to do like yearly treatment, and you got to, get coverings over it, and you have to really maintain the door. So if the aesthetic is what you're looking for, go for it. But understand that maintenance is priority number one on that door, because it's going to be a lot more upfront costs. Like it's handmade, it's cut, it's specific, but you have to maintain that investment. So.
Well, there's woodpeckers. There's all kinds. It actually takes in moisture. It changes the weight, which means the springs need to get adjusted or they break quicker. It's 3-inch track versus 2-inch track. You're supposed to get a clear coat every single year. There's just a lot of maintenance that goes along with that. At my house, I decided to do a 5-layer canyon ridge. And what I love about that is it's got a 10-year warranty, and it's lighter, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
So good.
And we'll go over a lot of different options, but a lot of people, we talk about lights, and there's another word for lights, windows. And the cool doors now, the modern, have windows down the side. We were used to windows across the top. Some people do random stuff, but what are your thoughts on windows? No or yes?
Yes, if it's steel back with polyurethane, or at least steel back with polystyrene. Now, windows, letting in natural light, couple cons to it is it kind of messes with the insulation, can kind of mess with a security issue, depending on where you live. But ultimately, what you want to do is like those windows add weight to the door. And whenever people try and insert them on like pan doors or a vinyl back, like you really need a lot of weight throughout the door on both sides, squishing it together that holds that. Like I've seen people try and get a pan door with bad or like insulation on like a vinyl back, and then they want like an argon gas like insulated window. Like what's the point?
Yeah.
At that point. And then the weight of that window now, because it's 2 panels, now it starts to make that door like warp and do all types of stuff while it's sitting up in the air. But I think, honestly, windows are the best natural aesthetic. It really makes the house pop, light, everything like that you need to be considerate of. But ultimately, if you do go with it, make sure it's a steel back door.
I'll just add that we've got fog glass. We've got a lot of different, we've got smoke glass. We've got any glass that you would want to choose. What type of garage doors do you install most often, and why do you think that is?
Mostly Steelback. Steelback has the most options as far as like we can go flush with like a modern look to it. You can get different types of stamps into it. They can make it look like wood now. You can get it in any color you want. You can put, like you were stating earlier with the windows, you can pretty much put them anywhere. So I think it's mostly the design options is what homeowners and people that really understand like what garage doors do for their house, why they go for that most of the time.
You know, it's the largest, most dangerous moving object on your home. Like we said, 40% of your curb bill. There's so many things. Like when I watch a James Bond movie, I'm looking at the garage doors. It's just, I'm glad we fell into this trade. What should homeowners consider when upgrading their door as far as, is there special hinges? Is there thicker hinges? Should I have a strut on every panel? What's an ORB? What's a max life spring? And who else carries that kind of stuff? I'm not very sure.
Right.
Actually, I am pretty sure, but I'm asking you.
Right. So, I mean, you're looking at the aftermarket parts. I mean, most manufacturers on like your cookie cutter doors, like from the manufacturer, you're going to get like a 1 to 3 year warranty on the parts mostly throughout the industry. It's garage door people like us to where, you know, we specially custom design our springs, right? Whether without getting too technical, the type of metal, the type of coil, the length of it, and we plug it in and we know exactly that, you know, the industry wants it to be a minimum of 10,000 cycles. Well, how about we just go 8 times the industry or 10 times?
80,000, yeah.
Yeah, 80,000. Some of our max life springs get close to like 110, 120,000. So
in a cycle life is each time the door goes up and down.
yes. So, I mean, if you could think about just using one thing 120,000 times guaranteed, you know, if I could guarantee you a car that would last you 1,000,000 miles, would you?
I would buy it. I would buy it. You know what's crazy is I explain the cycle life each time the door goes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, we're not using our garage door as much. We're using the front door. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Just get max lives. Get the stainless steel cables that don't rust. Get the higher cycle bearing plates. Get the triple Z bearing rollers that we lifetime warranty. There's a lot of parts on the garage door. So we build a Frankenstein. I like to call it a Frankenstein because we buy all these different parts from different manufacturers and we make it into a bulletproof tank.
Yeah, and I think what we're trying to do is not only, like, I can put the best spring you want on the door that'll last 1,000,000 cycles if you want to, but if I don't support the parts that actually make it move, it's for naught, right? You got to upgrade the hinges. Like, I think standard is like 18, sometimes 14. Like, that's why we upgrade to 11 gauge. And with that 11 gauge, we have silent ones, so they don't squeak on you. And then we have bearings that are enclosed now, so dust, wear and tear. It's basically like a minimal maintenance. Like it's a set it and forget it thing. So that's why with all these extra parts and struts to make sure that it really holds the door together, an ORB that supports the door as the operator's pulling on it. It's a number one defense thing that I recommend, because if your door fails in any way and then that operator just rips your door in half with that little itty bitty metal attachment point up at the top, like, you're just going to ruin your investment. So why not have all that insurance on the door? You're already going to pay money to get a garage door done. Why don't you make sure that it just lasts forever?
Yeah. I mean, your kids are using it. Grandma's coming in every day. You're parking your cars in there. You probably have a refrigerator, a freezer in the garage. You know, one of the things that I realized over time was the kitchen's usually on the other side of the garage, which attracts mice. It attracts rats. It attracts all kinds of spiders, anything that you could think of. And that bottom rubber is what keeps it nice and tight to stop the bugs. But with roof rats, which a lot of people have across the country, they make a bottom rubber with mesh through it that stops them from getting in. And we're one of the only companies that's going to take a garage and think about all those things and ask the right questions. How important is the questions that we ask? It's more of an experience. We sit down at your table. We go through the options. We go through something that's going to meet your needs. And I think that's the difference. But when it comes to the options, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. How do we make it simple and easy for the client to make a decision?
Right. That's why we really break stuff down into like packages. We have a pretty good idea, since we have done so much service. Like, you're going to fall into this many categories. So basically, when I go into the house, I'm explaining like what's important. And sometimes when I'm asking these questions, like, it's a problem that a client doesn't even know is a problem, right? Like, hey, is there any noise issues, like when you come in and out of the garage? Like, are you waking up little Timmy upstairs or anything like that. And they didn't even know that there's belt drive and silent hinges and all these things that we can do right now, today, to where you don't have to deal with that anymore, or your dog's going crazy, or like, hey, we've used 3 other garage door companies and we've had to replace our bottom rubber 3 times. What's happening? You're like, oh, well, you have a new neighborhood and construction for new houses, so all the field mice are coming to you, to your house now. So that's when we would do like a rodent seal situation. So it's not really like, what's the result that you want of this is mostly what our questions are geared for. And if all the packages, it's just built around the result for you.
Is there any questions I should consider, like HOA regulations or climate or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. With HOAs, just you got to get with your board. And honestly, if you just look around the neighborhood, you know what those limits are, right? Reaching out to an HOA before you would consider getting a garage door and knowing what those limits are. Definitely before having any garage door technician or you considering coming out is a good thing. I love HOAs. I really do, because they keep the neighborhood great and we can get a great door. And then honestly, probably other questions that you should ask yourself are just, what ultimately is your goal, like I said in the beginning, over the next 5, 10, 20 years? If you let us know what those goals are, what you want to maintenance, what you want to deal with, like we can tailor it to that. So when you're asking a garage door company these questions, if they're giving you just cookie cutter answers like we just installed this, that's what we do, that's not good.
I got one final question, but I just wanted to throw one thing out there. I care about who's coming into my home with my family. I care about, did they clean up adequately? Did they honor their word on the install date? Did they honor their warranty? Do they show up nights, weekends, and holidays when I need them the most? Those are the concerns I'm going to have when someone's in my home. Aren't all garage doors the same? I mean, we talked a lot about this, but some people are like, it just needs to go up and down. And we have those solutions, but some people just believe it's a garage door.
If you think about that the garage door is just a wall, then yeah, in a sense, all garage doors would be the same. But if you want to consider when that garage door doesn't work and what's going to happen when it doesn't work, that's where garage doors are different. That's where you focus on your warranty. Is that company going to be there in the middle of the night? Because I don't know about you, but usually a garage door is usually, 8x7, 16x7 gaping hole into your house. So when it goes down, let's make sure that we have parts that not going to go down. Let's make sure we have a company that can take care of it on site if need be and not leave your home exposed for a night, a day, a week at a time. And then also, let's just focus on wear and tear. Like, people got kids. People got family members. Do you think a bad pan door that's essentially the same metal thickness as a can of Coke, and you got a kid that's wants to go out for hockey this year, how that's going to hold up, or playing basketball, or maybe, your new permit driver just didn't hit the brake quite in time, just kind of bumped into that door a little bit. That's why accidents happen. So just plan for the worst and we'll give you the best.
I agree, John. This was amazing. Your garage door can absolutely add value, but not all garage doors are created the same.